Hey everybody, welcome to KnightsCast, the Kill Team podcast all about kills and the teams that love them. My name's Will, I'm one of your hosts of KnightsCast, and we've got a little bit of a special episode for you today. Our apologies for not getting things out on the regular bi-weekly schedule. We've had some scheduling snafus come up the last couple of weeks, so we weren't able to get out a normal episode, but we still wanted to get something out, especially since we have a tournament coming up over at Emerald Knights in Burbank, California next week, and also with all of the awesome Kill Team Elites news that's been coming out, we felt that we needed to get something out. So we've got a little bit of a change to our format today. Today's episode is called A Tale of Four Warlords, and basically what we're going to do, we're going to hop around from all of my co-hosts, Ben, Jesse, and Aaron, and we're going to talk about the lists that we're looking to take to the tournament coming up at Emerald Knights on May 18th. So an important note about the tournament that we're going to, it's an arena tournament, so we all have to create a 20-unit roster. So that's kind of the context of what the lists that you'll be hearing from Ben, Jesse, and Aaron, and myself later on. We're also going to talk a little bit about what we think of the Elites news. Should be a great time. So without further ado, I'm going to turn things over to Aaron.
Hey everyone, Aaron here. Just checking in here on our Tale of Four Warlords segment of KnightsCast episode 2.5, and going to be talking about my kill team I'm going to be bringing to a tournament here at a local game shop called Emerald Knights. And as you guessed it, from my much documented and lamented love of the shooty, sneaky, overpowered Tau Empire, I'm going to be bringing my Tau kill team. Strike Team Horizon, Kill Team Horizon, I wish, to Emerald Knights for this tournament. I think I've got a pretty good list settled down. I've modified it, optimized it to make it as shooty and killy as possible, so without further ado, here's that list. In my leader slot, I'm going to be bringing a Fire Warrior. In my scout slot, I'm going to be bringing my trusty stealth suit, armed with a fusion blaster. Gotta remember what things are here. Fusion blaster with target lock, so she won't be affected when she uses her advanced move. I'm going to be bringing a Pathfinder with a rail rifle, which is always awesome, as my sniper specialist. And I'm going to be using a regular Fire Warrior with pulse rifle and pulse pistol as my comm specialist to go sidecar with my rusty trusty Fire Warrior there. Then I'm going to be bringing another blob in my non-specialist slots. I'll be bringing another blob of 4 Fire Warriors just to get that for the greater good that everyone loves going on, and also have a good base of fire and movement and able to take objectives. They're going to be supported by a grav inhibitor drone, and the sniper team is going to be supplemented with the trusty recon drone, so my enemies that cower and cover will not get that bonus, because no one likes a coward, and we like to make sure cowards get what's coming to them, which is a nice, accurate rail rifle bolt. One of the things that we want to talk about in this segment is the strengths and weaknesses of our said list. For me, I kind of had to have a long, hard think, and also think about the games that I've played with my good friend Will against his Eldari, which have been illuminating and very, very good, and kind of showed me the error of my ways in having too elite of a kill team. So without further ado, here's some of the strengths that I think Strike Team Horizon brings to the table. Strengths would be, it's super flexible, so I can kind of move where I need to move. I'm able to bring really good firepower against everyone. I can take down heavily armored units, and also probably horde armies I'll be able to pump a bunch of fire downrange and not worry about it too much. I'll kind of lethal at all ranges except close quarters, of course. It's about as shooty as I'll get out. with those pulse rifles and rail rifles and assault cannons and fusion blasters, I got a lot of firepower going downrange. Very fast. It's a very fast team. Pathfinder has base movement of 7, with the stealth suit having also base movement of 7 and can reroll advances. Fire warriors are no slouches, so I'll be able to scoot around the battlefield as needed. Coming back to my favorite unit, the stealth suit. Stealth suit is going to be key. I'm going to use her for alpha strikes, and then provided I can make something really cool happen in first turn, harass the enemy for the rest of the game, because she's so tough to kill with the natural -1 to hit and a 3-up armor save. She's pretty tough. Oh yeah, not to mention 2 wounds. So I'll be using her and her fly ability also to get her out of trouble, move around the battlefield as fast as possible, generally cause havoc for whoever I'm fighting against. Drones, my lovely, lovely drones are another strength of this unit. Again, being able to soak up wounds and the savior protocol, and again, just being able to put out a little bit more fire to just kind of make the enemy keep their heads down a little bit. And gonna trot out a new one. The Grav Inhibitor drone is one that I think is vitally important for my town now that I've played a few games against armies that like to charge me. That D3 of negative inches on a charge that an enemy has to worry about will kind of limit their options and maybe not have them try and do plus 9 or 10 inch charges on me, which would be really nice. I'm hoping that the Pathfinder sniper will come out and do some work, as he's done in pretty much every game. That's rail rifle is incredibly powerful, and as long as I keep him positioned correctly and keep him at half range, with the buffs, doing those 2 shots, hopefully hitting on 3s, will do some work. And also the threat of For the Greater Good, the much lamented battlefield tactic for the Tau that everyone's run into. Again, it just makes charging Tau models all the scarier. Hopefully, with the extra fire warriors I'll be fielding, it'll make things a little bit more dicey for someone attacking me. And with that, that's my strengths for that. Moving on to the weaknesses that I think exist in the list. I've learned this from bitter experience that the Tau are brittle. Once I start taking losses, especially if I start using alpha units, like if I start using rail rifles and For the Greater Good forbid me losing the stealth suit, it's going to be a problem for me. That's an uphill battle, so I need to be careful not to do that. The Tau are incredibly vulnerable to charges. I can't overstate that enough. That if I am charged, it's over. So I need to be wary of that and keep moving. Again, moving on to being useless in a charge situation, the Tau have no melee skill to speak of. Again, if I'm in melee combat, I've done something incredibly wrong. And to piggyback off of being brittle, I weaken very quickly once I start taking losses. Just losing a couple guns limits my amount of firepower I can put downrange, and is not good for the Tau. That being said, I'm fairly confident in this list. I think that I'll be able to pull some victories out, and with a little bit of luck, I might be able to place pretty highly in a tournament. I'm not going to say I'm going to win, because if I say I'm going to win, I'm just going to lose. But, I'm fairly confident. I've played them a lot. I feel like I've messed around with tactics quite a bit, and I know what to bring and where to shoot and do all that jazz. So I'm definitely looking forward to playing in another tournament. It'll be really nice, especially to play with the rest of the Knights, who I can't wait to see what Jesse, Will, and Ben bring to the table, and I have no doubt that they'll clean up. So, because they're a bunch of great players and generally great guys, and love playing with them and watching them do their thing. So I'll probably be playing across the table from them. So hopefully I beat them too. So that'd be pretty good. On another note, and I think we're going to talk about this in a future episode of KnightsCast. In a future episode, in the next episode, full episode of KnightsCast. Man, elites. The teases they've dropped have got all of us just so incredibly excited to see the expanded lists, to see that I'll finally get access to my XV8 crisis battle suits, Bulgrins and Ogrins for my Astra Militarum. I won't talk about the GSC because I'm still mad about them, but they get some cool stuff or whatever. And seeing that they have maybe looks like Deep Strike coming down the pipe, I think it's an incredibly exciting time to be playing Kill Team. You're going to have a massive amount of tactical depth. I didn't even touch on it. How could I forget about it? The faction rules. Every game is going to be different. I can't wait to throw my Strike Team Horizon out there and have them be from the Tau Sept, and that makes the For the Greater Good hit on 5s and 6s. That's awesome. Game changing. I'm terrified of facing Terminators on the field and all the AP, but I cannot say that I'm more excited about the state of the game than I've been in a long time. I'm excited to field new units. I'm excited for 200-point battles that I think is where I think armies shine. You'll be able to have these cinematic, cool experiences. I'm generally looking forward to finding out more and just experiencing the awesomeness that Elites is going to bring to the table. And so that's my little segment of the Tale of Four Warlords. I hope you enjoy the segments from the other guys. And thank you for listening. I can't express enough how thankful I am that you're taking the time out of your day to listen to us and, hopefully comment and get in the conversation and, generally have some fun with us.
Okay, well, hi everyone. It's me, Ben, and I'm here to talk to you a little bit about my list for an upcoming tournament we're doing. So that's the story for this episode, right? We're doing a Tale of Four Warlords. This was Will's brilliant idea. I think this is a really fun idea. We're each going to talk about our lists. We're going to talk about our kind of hopes and expectations for this tournament coming up, but you probably already know that at this point. So here's another thing you probably already know. Kill Team Elites is almost ready for pre-order as of the time of this recording. I don't know about all of you, but I have been glued to my internet browser, hitting the refresh button on the Games Workshop Warhammer community website and the Kill Team subreddit. I am excited as can be. Pretty cool. I guess by the time you're listening to this, probably more will be known. So, I'm just filled with childish glee right now, watching all the exciting news drop. Okay, so we've got this tournament coming up. And it's been a while since I've done a tournament anyway. And I think that's true for all of us here here on our podcast team. I really want to play an AdMech team. But I kind of can't figure out how the heck to do it. It seems to me that AdMech are even worse in Arena. Well, they were great before, and I think overall they are really good. I know they can carry a lot of plasma. I know they can do some really interesting and fun and quirky stuff. I just love how their fluff lines up so well with their gameplay. They are just so mechanical and programmed. It's super fun and fluffy. They're just dripping with fluff. I love it. Anyway, I can't figure out how to make them work in Arena. It just seems to me like you just can't put enough models on the table. The thing I really want to do is I thought about putting together a list where I've got a couple of Rust Stalkers and Infiltrators. I was going to do 4 Rust Stalkers / Infiltrators, and then a Leader and 2 Vanguard gunners with plasma guns. I believe that was it. Yeah, so 7 models. And it just seemed to me like it's too small of a list. I couldn't figure out how to make it work. So what I first want to do is just pose to you a question. Are AdMech okay in Arena? If you guys made him work, I'd love to see if anyone's willing to share with me. I'm seriously I'm afraid to try him out. If anyone's willing to share, post on Instagram, show us a picture of your AdMech kill team with either a roster or just a list that works for you in Arena. I'd love to see to get a sense of how AdMech work. All that being said, right, so, I'm afraid of trying something new, basically, and instead I'm just going to go with what I know. I'm going to play Orks. Seems to me that in Arena, Orks work real well. A lot of the problems Orks had in normal match play games where you're often playing on a map that, you make in some terrible way, or at least I was always making these maps that were just real lopsided, lots of open space. I could just get blowed up real bad. But Arena doesn't let you do that, right? There's walls everywhere, there's doors, you've got a lot of time to position, and you've got a lot of stuff blocking line of sight so you can't get shot. It's great for us Orks. Yeah, the Green Tide is really thriving in Arena. So, I guess I kind of want to celebrate while I can that Orks are finally good. And I'll tell you, just for the record, right, I was just getting my face smashed in playing Orks for the first 6 months or so of this game. I played, just tons and tons of Orks, and I got pretty used to never winning. And it's not like I wasn't, trying everything out. It just nothing was sticking. So Arena's been really fun for me for that reason. Orks are kind of rocking there. The list I'm going to bring is getting there. It's pretty close to ready. I'm going to tell you basically kind of the broad strokes picture, and that's going to be it, actually. So I'm going to tell you about how my list is supposed to work. Obviously, I've got a Grot leader. That's just the way it's got to be for Orks. I'm still used to playing with the mindset that Orks are so terrible that I got to do everything I can to get a leg up, even if it means taking the unfluffy Grot leader approach. My Grot leader is Rocco von Crotch, Grot Hotshot, and Squad Shot Caller. He's like sort of the little jester for my commander, who is Mary Choppins. I haven't got to play a lot of games with Mary Choppins, but I've got a few in, and he's super fun. Anyway, so Rocco von Crotch, Grot Hotshot, and Squad Shot Caller is my leader. He's my little Grot. He sits in the back. It's a super old metal model from, the early 90s. I painted him when I was probably 10, and 10-year-old me would be thrilled that he's finally getting to play Warhammer, because I never actually did when I was 10. I just got the models and kind of fantasized. Anyway, so my plan with him is basically I keep him in the back and generate command points. You know how that goes. That's the idea there. I think Ludas, I just love the idea of Ludas. But as far as I can tell, they were bad to begin with, and they are even worse in Arena because you just, that they have some huge range. I forget if it's 48 or 60 inches. Or they have a 5 in ballistic skill, but you have a chance in normal games with big open maps that you might actually be shooting at short range with them, which is really cool. But in Arena, there's even less chance to be taking long shots. So it just seems to me that's there's no way to make Ludas work as far as I can see. They're even worse. And, this is one of these things where you can take a comm specialist, but at that point, if I take a comm specialist for 10 points with a Luda Spanna or a Berna Spanna, that's 10 points right there, plus 12 points for a Luda. That's 22 points, which is the equivalent of 3.5 Boyz. I'd rather just go for the Boyz, So no Ludas. I think Power Claws are still kind of a must, so my plan is to take a Boss Knob with a Power Claw and a Commando Boss Knob with a Power Claw. One's going to be a Combat, and one is going to be a Scout. I believe I can make a Commando Boss Knob a Scout. the thing about power claws is they're really strong, right? So it's strength times 2, and on a boss knob that means you're going to have a strength of 10, which is like just hilarious overkill most of the time. You're paying 4 points for a power claw. They get -3 to AP, so that's good. And they do D3 damage. They give you a -1 to hit because they're clunky, right? So with boss knobs, you're hitting on 4s instead of 3s. You're coming in with a strength of 10. You're getting AP -3, and you're doing anywhere between 1 and 3 damage. Pretty cool. So it's a great way to kill someone. And my thinking here is this is really not about the -1 to hit. This is really not about the AP -3. It's really about the D3 damage. I want to know when I hit that I'm going to kill something. So that's the beauty of the power claw. Sometimes you're only doing 1 damage, but sometimes you get lucky and hit a 3. So all of that is just to say power claw is really good. It's also pretty expensive. Big choppas are still in consideration, and I am considering taking a combat specialist boss knob with a big choppa in some games and subbing that big choppa in instead of a power claw just to buy me an extra 2 points. We'll see, but I think there are times when that's going to be useful. I do not like giving a boss knob both a power claw and a combi weapon with Scorcha. That's going to come in at 18 points, and that's like too many points for a model that you can basically look at and it'll fall over dead. I know that boss knobs have 2 wounds, so that's great, but even so, he's got a 6+ save. It's a 4 in toughness, which is cool, but it's a 6+ save. So, if he gets shot with anything, he's like liable to die. So I just don't want to load him up on too many points. So what I want to do instead is I want to choose my battles carefully. I'm going to use a demolition specialist on a boss knob with combi weapon with Scorcha for 14 points in games where I expect to get charged a lot. So if I'm playing like Tyranids, if I'm playing Orks, I'm going to put in my boss knob, who's a demo specialist with a combi weapon with Scorcha, instead of my boss knob with a power claw, who's going to be a combat specialist, most likely. So it's one or the other there. That way I'm not putting too many points on the table on one model that's just going to die. Okay, next we'll talk about the veteran specialism. So in regular match play games, a veteran, I have learned, is a necessity for Orks. I can't make any headway in a regular game without a veteran on the table. I want that veteran to be in hand-to-hand combat on turn 1, or I want that veteran to be tying up my enemies and preventing them from moving in the places that they want to be moving on turn 1. So I really need to be screwing with them like as soon as the game starts, using that veteran specialism that costs 1 command point that allows me to move before the first turn of the game. That being said, in Arena, it's not going to do me that much because, at least as far as I can tell, my veteran's not allowed to do things like open doors on that movement that he takes before the game starts. So what that means is there's really only one map where veteran is actually that useful in Arena, as far as I can tell anyway. And it is hold the terminals. And maybe you can use them on secure the delivery sites, which is the one where you're playing where your 2 deployment zones are like 10 inches apart and there's no doors separating them, so you can just charge directly at your opponent on turn 1. It is possible there that a veteran could be useful. You move your veteran toward your enemy during your pre-game move for that 1 command point, and then you get ready to either charge them or to get charged by them on turn 1. But that's really only going to work if you know that they don't have flamers or they don't have, some like assault 6, some like heavy 4 weapon or something like that, where they're going to get a lot of shots at you if you charge them, and they're going to put that model right in front in their deployment zone, because that most likely for me means that my veteran's going to get wasted. Sorry if this isn't making a lot of sense. I feel like I'm rambling a little bit here, but I guess that comes with the territory. That's just me being characteristically me. Sorry. So anyway, veteran, I'm going to have one on my roster, but I don't expect to use them except in a couple of very special cases on specific maps, and only if I know that my enemy's team isn't going to be able to counter it. And that veteran, I don't want to waste a boss knob or a commando boss knob with the veteran spec. So instead, I'm just going to make it be a regular boy or commando. Finally, I'm planning on bringing one big shooter for no reason other than I don't do a lot of shooting as orcs, and I thought it'd be fun to give it a try. The thing about a big shooter that can be useful, I think, so if I've got this big shooter a little bit back, right? If I imagine this kind of like a football game, so you've just got like, the line, and then you've got guys kind of in front or behind it. In case you can't tell, I don't know a thing about a football game, as evidenced by whatever the hell I just said. Yeah, I don't even know. Anyway, so the thing about a big shooter is if I've got this guy who's back a little bit from the fray, that can be useful on later turns in the game, because I can charge my big shooter in, and by doing so, I can prevent opponents from falling back. So, again, it's useful as orcs to have some models that are out of combat and that are ready to charge in if you get the first turn and a bunch of your guys are already in fight, because you can use that first turn to charge enemy models, and if you succeed at the charge, then they can't fall back on their move phase. So that's my thinking with the big shooter. He's still got 2 attacks that are, so he's identical to a regular orc boy. He just has 1 less attack, and that still ain't bad. But again, I'm using him more for his ability to tie up opponents than for his ability to actually kill anyone. The way it's looking right now, I've got between 14 and 16 models that I'm putting on the table in any given game. And what that means, obviously, is that I don't have a ton of leeway with my roster. Every model on my 20-model roster is getting used in one build or another. And I've really just got kind of 2 builds I'm looking at, depending on depending on which map I'm playing, and then I have 3 units that have very specific conditions under which I'm going to put them in, but only, if I'm expecting to get charged or if I'm expecting to play certain armies, so this kind of stuff. Obviously, I want to keep this, I got to keep a couple of secrets, because I know that Will and Jesse and Aaron are going to listen to this, and I'm going to be playing against them too, man, so I got to, keep a little bit secret here, but that's the big picture. So I'll part with you by saying this. There are a bunch of teams that I still haven't played yet. So and I think some of them are really popular. So I'm expecting this is going to be just like at LVO, where I show up and wind up playing almost exclusively against teams I've never seen before. I'm sure that's going to happen, so this will be a learning experience, and I'm going to come back to you folks, you dear listeners, crying in a week or so at the horrors of playing against the Harlequins, and I'm going to be all, why didn't you guys tell me how good they are? So I guess that is just to say, if you've got any warnings for me, stuff that I need to know to play in this tournament in a couple weeks. I think it's May 18th, I want to say, a Saturday. So if you guys have any brilliant guys or gals or other have any brilliant suggestions for me going into an arena game, having played not too much arena, though I've played some, feel free to hit me up and, help me out. Yeah, right on. All right, well, I'm going to sign off for now. Again, more as the situation develops, and I'll keep y'all posted on my Orky progress at this tournament. And by the way, I just want to say, and I'm sure this will get touched on elsewhere too, but we have seen some awesome submissions so far for our terrain making contest. And it sounds to me like we're probably going to be extending the deadline for that a little bit, but more on that as the situation develops too. But we've seen some stuff we just loved. You folks are doing some amazing work with our hashtag Goodwill 40K contest. More to come with that. All right. Thanks, everyone. Talk to you soon.
Hi everyone, this is Jesse from KnightsCast. This week on our Tale of Four Warlords, I am preparing to take NIDS to our tournament on the 18th. As a Tyranid player, you've heard me in the past really try and struggle with playing NIDS, so I'm looking forward to bringing this into a tournament type play scenario. Also, I'm not a very great, for lack of a better word, arena player. I'm very open format based. Kind of play style, free play. I usually don't even pay attention to objectives. I'm just trying to rack up a model count by the end of the game. So this kind of tournament is going to be one that throws some definite challenges my way. I am looking at taking right now 7 gaunts, and I'm looking at taking 2 warriors and a lictor with me. So let me break down what my strategies, some of my objectives that I'm going to have to look for, and some of my difficulties I need to pay attention to, some of my weaknesses as a player. The first thing I'm bringing here are those gaunts. Those gaunts are really going to help me in terms of holding down objectives, being able to open and close doors, and kind of setting up some sneak attack strategies for myself. In previous warm-up games for this tournament, playing with the guys, I found that having a few extra guns, being able to open and close doors to block fire, incoming fire from other armies, or just being able to keep another warrior, another one of their models at bay by trying to hold the door and essentially hold that location. So that's been really interesting to play. Also, with the tight corridors, it's been great to put about 2 or 3 NIDS. If I spread them out right, I can get 2 NIDS to block a corridor. So they either have to shoot or have to run into combat with me to kind of get around them. So that's really been a help. That kind of sets me up for using my lictor and my 2 warriors to kind of sneak around. Now I'm trying a new strategy with my warriors this time around. I'm not essentially having one set up the fire, one being a melee. I'm kind of balancing them out to be a jack-of-all-trades character. Both of the warriors I'm bringing are going to have bone swords, I believe, and they're going to also have death spitters. Yeah, death spitters. Those are really powerful in terms of how close corridors were. It really allows my guys to be able to shoot or do melee, so I can throw them right in. If shooting's not really working, I can go ahead and switch around and run them straight into the enemy army. And once I'm in close corridors with the guys, unless they have another combat specialist or something that can really go toe-to-toe with a warrior, I feel pretty confident that they're going to come out okay. Especially with those 3 wounds, I can kind of play a little recklessly with these guys. Another one is the lictor. I'm picking up a strategy from our Tau player, Aaron. He usually brings in, as you've heard in the previous talks about the Tau, he brings in the stealth suits to kind of screen and block and really pay attention. Now, that's what I'm going to try to do with this lictor. This lictor, I believe if I get my gaunts essentially to be able to open the door to the other side of the arena, depending on what objectives we have based, I can get a lictor right up in the combat at least by the 2nd round. And that's really damaging. Most people kind of do a firing line down each of the hallways. I'm able to throw a lictor, and if he's in, he can just jump and jump and jump. The same with the gaunts. If I can get the gaunts to be able to do their bounding leap over other guys, it really holds down places. Also helps me throw them into objectives. I can be a little bit further away in terms of objectives and still be able to make it if I'm able to kill some models to hold down some points. That from the previous games I've played, that seems to be a really good strategy, and it kind of surprises people when it's one of those common things that people forget about mids, that they can consolidate, at least the gaunts can, in the close combat by 6 inches, and people, since it's close corridors, it allows me to keep in combat and hold some people down. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this tournament. I think there's going to be definitely some challenges for me as a player. I'm excited to try to throw these guys into combat. In previous games where I've played this setup for my Tyranids, it's done relatively well. It's been able to adapt fairly quickly and still be able to hold down objectives while being a fearsome force. People are really scared of the two warriors, and if I can get the two warriors in and people don't pay attention to the lictor, then I'm even better for it. I can sneak someone around. So that's really great. And the Gons can just hold down objectives. I can hold down, at the moment, if everything goes right and there's the bodies out, I can hold down 3 objectives with at least 2 Gons, and that's kind of scary for a lot of people. You know, the Gons still have 2 attacks in close range, and that's able to keep some people at bay. Now, they are squishy. I mean, they have a 6+ save. So if they shoot and hit, then, you know, they're probably going to die. But that's an okay loss as long as they're keeping the objectives. If not, I can just run them into the enemy opponent and be able to hold them down for a turn, or at least slow them down from trying to get to my side. So that's really worked as a strategy. The warriors being able to shoot and do melee combat has been a big save for me. In one of the practice games we've had, I was able to throw one of my warriors as my leader, and then the other one's a comm specialist. So I've been able to keep those guys together, get the comms a plus, do the +1 in terms of ballistic skill to the leader, bringing it down to a 3+. So then he can actually hit some stuff, and when they hit some stuff, they can do some damage, which is great. And if that doesn't work, I can just throw them in straight into combat and get them to use the bone sword for a +1 attack. So that's been really helpful. It kind of makes them, a little bit of combat session, and also while still maintaining shooting. Now, the secret weapon I feel like for my nids is actually flesh hooks. What I've been finding is if I take one of the warriors, the comm specialist, sorry, I should have run down this, but my setup for my specialists are one of my Gons is going to be a scout, which it only helps with the advances. That it just guarantees me to be able to get to a door, hopefully, and be able to hold it or either open it, and that way I can get my lictor across. Now, the lictor is a combat specialist, so that brings him up to 4 attacks, which hitting on a 2+ is really devastating. And then he also, with the grasping talons, gets 2 damage. So I'm almost guaranteed to be able to kill something if the lictor is in combat. Now, the scary part is being able to fall back and getting shot with a lictor. That's the scary part. But luckily, they have the camouflage, and in those close quarters, he's almost guaranteed to be obscured. So that's a big help. Now, my secret weapon in terms of this team is my comm specialist, which is one of my warriors. That warrior, again, has bone swords, so he can also do some close combat. But what I found really interesting kind of turn of events, in one of our previous games, practice games, I was able to have plus my lictors flesh hooks. Now, that's when I was saying that my flesh hooks are kind of my secret weapon. The lictor has a 4+, not 4+, has a 4 BS skill. With the comm specialist, I can bring that down to a 3. So he's most likely gonna hit something. The flesh hooks can be used within 6 inches and in close combat, so that's even a better save. So if I have 2 combats going on in relatively close quarters, I can still have the lictor reach out and hit something. And then with the lictor, he has a 6 strength. If I actually hit with that flesh hook, since flesh hooks usually use their strength, it is a devastating thing. That means I'm either going to hit on 2+ or 3+. I'm able to do that, I'm going to be able to take out smaller models. Now, specialists are a different story, but it still allows me to almost guarantee taking out one of the smaller minion-type guys on other kill teams. So it has a really good counterpoint to taking out horde-ish type armies. Again, the flesh hooks are amazing because both my warriors have them, and same with the lictor. So I'm always going to be able to use the comm specialist as +1 in a turn as long as I didn't charge that turn or was charged that turn. So that's a big thing, and a lot of people forget about the flesh hooks. So it's kind of my secret weapon to be able to pop out of them in a kind of a bind. Let's see what else. The lictor and the warriors having multiple wounds are also going to be a big benefit when it comes to objectives bases. Someone can run in and try to hold down a point with objectives, but I'm guaranteed to have more wounds in them unless it's another specialist, since I have 4 and 3. So if I have I'm holding down a point with a lictor, they're going to have to run in for their guys to try to hold that point with me. So as long as I'm able to take a guy out, I'm going to hold that point. So they are big pieces on the board for me. Now, that does also make them a heavy target. It does mean I can't play super recklessly unless they have a flamer. Flamers are going to be devastating to me if I get hit. I'm going to lose at least 3 or 4 gaunts. In that case, I'm going to have to run them in and keep charging, and they're going to have to, and I'm going to hopefully dodge some overwatches with that. So Tals are going to be a really hard thing to beat. I know y'all are probably, as you've heard us talk about Tals, but there's also some other armies that I'm looking a little nervous at. I'm nervous if there's going to be any Death Guard with their resilienceness. I'm worried about some Necron armies, not necessarily if they're a warrior or mortal, but I'm really worried about Flayed Ones. I played Flayed Ones at LVO. Believe that guy got 3rd place at LVO. He's a really nice guy. I played him, but he whooped me with his Flayed Ones. He ran 10 Flayed Ones for 100 points. It was devastating in that event. At LVO, I was playing Necrons as well, so my shears, they just couldn't really do anything to them. They just got eaten up. So yeah, guys, that's the kind of things I'm looking forward to. I'm coming at 99, 98 points. I'm thinking about putting some adrenal sacks. I might as well do it if I have the extra points. Yeah, just kind of fleshing out the army. Right now I'm furiously painting, as you can tell from our Instagram, if you follow us on that. My guys, my nids are usually unpainted, but I'm kind of going around and speed painting these guys, so I'm hoping they turn out pretty well for it. So I'm excited to have my first fully painted army at one of these events. I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a great event, and hopefully KnightsCast can, as a team, can do us all proud out there. So just want to thank you guys for listening, and we'll give you an update on how the event goes. Take care, and talk to y'all soon.
Hey everybody, welcome back. My list for this tournament is pretty simple. I don't really get into the rosters thing. I tend to build lists to have about 12 models that I can use to take on all comers. That's kind of what I've done with my list as well. Originally, I didn't want to take Eldar for this tournament. I really, really wanted to take Thousand Sons. However, scheduling has been absolutely crazy. It's just been insane the last couple of weeks, just trying to get time to sit down, even record this. I'm recording it in my car right now. So I didn't really have time to get my Thousand Sons to the point that I wanted them to be, paint-wise, modeling-wise. I have about 4,000 Sons in kind of various stages of the painting process. All of my Zangors are gray plastic. They're not in a great place. They're not in a place where I would want to take them and display them publicly. So I'm rolling with Eldar for this tournament. Probably not the best choice for Arena, but I've been doing pretty well with them. I've been practicing with the guys the last couple of weeks. I've been practicing against specifically Jesse's Tyranids, which have gotten a lot better than the last couple of weeks. He kind of took me to the house last week And then we had another game that was very, very close, within like a victory point. He's really figured out that list. He's really figured out the Tyranids and really, really honed in on it. And then last night, I had a practice game against Ben's Orks. Hadn't played them for quite some time. I don't know if I have played them once before in Arena. That was a good game. Came down to the last turn. I managed to work some things out and got a 15-11 win. So I'm feeling pretty good. I'm feeling pretty good about this list. Let me run you through it. So I've got a Storm Guardian leader with Chainsword. Storm Guardian leader, it's especially for Arena, I don't want to put my leader on anything valuable, so I choose the cheapest possible unit. I put them on a back objective, and that's where they'll sit for the rest of the game. There's some objectives in arena missions where you need to have a specialist in a specific place, and if it's in the back line, that's where that model's going to live. I then have a Guardian Defender comms, and the Guardian Defender with comms is there to support a number of different units. Primarily, the idea is that I take a heavy weapon platform. Heavy weapons platforms aren't the greatest for Arena because people tend to game plan around them and avoid them, and there's enough line of sight blocking things that really don't make it always worthwhile taking. Though I did use it last night against Ben's Orks. I took a scatter laser with the heavy weapons platform. It did okay, and it was an obstacle. I'm not entirely sure that it's worth its 12 points at the moment. Next up, I have a Dire Avenger Exarch with the Power Glaive and Shuriken Pistol. Typically, when I'm taking a Dire Avenger Exarch, I want to take them with their dual Avenger catapults because you get 4 shots. It's a lot more useful. You get the Dire Avenger ability of hitting on a 5 or 6 on Overwatch. However, the Exarch with Power Glaive and Shuriken Pistol, and it doesn't even have a Shuriken Pistol, it has a Shimmer Shield. I made this model before I really knew what was good. But the one that I have built and the one that I have painted has the Shimmer Shield and Power Glaive. Hopefully I get away with doing counts as Shimmer Shield to Pistol. That's going to be my close combat specialist. And then further down, I have 2 Storm Guardian Gunners with fusion guns, 2 Storm Guardian Gunners with flamers, just to give me a little bit of versatility, just in case I'm facing down a Space Marine army, just in case something heavier armored or higher toughness. I have those fusion guns kind of stashed. I think flamers are really the way to go with Arena, so typically I'm going to be taking 2 flamers. I have kind of 3 random units kind of thrown in, and by the way, I'm going with what I have, so this may not be ideal. It may not be the ideal roster, and I don't think I'm going to take these models, but I have 3 Dire Avengers in this list as well at 10 points each. Now, the problem with Dire Avengers, I've run into this a lot. They're just really expensive Guardians. Not really expensive. I mean, it's 10 points. It's 3 more points than a regular Guardian Defender. And you get 6 more inches on their catapults, which is okay. Maybe not the greatest in Arena. You get the 5 or 6 hitting on Overwatch, which again, it's okay, but is it worth the 3 points? And you also get a 4+ armor save, which can come in handy because Guardian Defenders can be pretty fragile. So like I said, I'm probably not going to use the Dire Avengers much, but they're in there. Thought is, just in case that there's heavy close combat spam, and I want them to screen, and I can't, I really play my Eldar heavy as a heavy screening force. I will block corridors with flamers, but I can't block every corridor with flamers since I can only take 2 of them. So the Dire Avengers are maybe there if I need more screening units. They're a little bit of a deterrent. Then going on down, I have an alternate for my combat specialist as a Storm Guardian with Chainsword. Again, probably not going to use it that much, but it's there just in case I want to swap out the Exarch for one of my models coming up a little bit. I have another heavy weapons platform with Star Cannon. Star Cannon's okay. The strength is good. It's got AP. But I've had problems hitting with it in the past. You only get 2 shots. And usually in Arena, you're going to be shooting at a unit that is obscured. It's almost inevitable that that's going to be the case. So you're going to hit most of the time on 4s or 3s, depending on, you know, what your communications specialist is boosting. So I don't know how often I'll use Star Cannons, but again, they're there for Marine equivalent forces. They're there for maybe Death Guard. They're there for Thousand Suns. Marine equivalent forces, I would probably lean toward taking the Star Cannon. Then I have a Guardian Defender Medic. I've really, really come around to love the Medic. The fact that you get an extra attack for a close combat specialist or any unit is pretty fantastic. So I really, really like the Medic. I've been including it, even though the Eldar right now are not a particularly heavy close combat force. It helps kind of equalize things when you have the Dire Avenger with Power Glaive charging in at 4 attacks. You know, it's only strength 4. It's not game breaking, but it does help. So Medic in there. It's 7 points. Might as well. Then I have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 more Guardian Defenders. So that's a total of 6 Guardian Defenders in this list. They're just basic Guardian Defenders, nothing really special. Then I have on this roster, I have a Dire Avenger Exarch Scout with the Twin Avenger Catapults. Now this, I'm not sure if I'm actually going to be able to use it. As I mentioned before, I only have the one Exarch, and it's modeled not with these weapons. It's just, it's really expensive to find the bits to build the other Exarch. So I don't have that model, but if I can use Counts As in this tournament, which I don't know if I will or not, that would probably be my primary choice. And then finally I have another random Guardian Defender there. It's hiding out at the bottom of my battle scribe. So I actually have, 7 Guardian Defenders on that roster. That's typically more how I'm going to build them, with Defenders rather than Avengers, because they're just cheaper. You can get another model or 2 in there. So that's my list. It's worked out for me pretty well so far. I like to think that I'm a pretty good Eldar player. I know these models really, really well, and I know what they can do. So I'm hoping that I will do okay in this tournament. I would love to be in the top 3 or top 4. I would really, really, that's my goal. I want to be in the top 4. I truly anticipate that at least one of the crew from KnightsCast is going to be on the final table. It just depends on who it's going to be. So, like I said, this is a local tournament being run at Emerald Knights in Burbank, California. Registration starts at noon, May 18th. Come on out if you're in the area. We'd love to see you. We'd love to play against you. That'd be great if you can. So, putting the tournament aside, let's talk, as the other guys have talked a little bit about, let's talk about Elites. Elites is gonna be interesting. It's gonna be really interesting. I've seen a lot of cynicism online about the previews that Warhammer community has been posting the last week, and I don't get it. I think the more options, the better. I think that as long as they don't constrain players to play specifically elite games, and as long as we can maybe take elite choices in 100-point games, I think that this book can be really, really good for the game. It's going to refresh everything. I'm really excited by the faction traits. I'm really excited for the completion of the Eldar choices with the Striking Scorpions and Howling Banshees. As I said before, I probably wouldn't take anything but the Exarch for the Striking Scorpions, because their Power Claw is really good. And probably I would take more Howling Banshees just because of their ability to negate Overwatch. So I'm really excited for Elites. The faction traits are going to be fun. We're getting all the toys that the players of regular 40k get. And when your only outlet to this hobby is playing Kill Team, that's great. Like, I love to be able to play with all the fluffy stuff that the players in regular 40k get. So really, really looking forward to it. I will have my mouse cursor hovering over the pre-order button tomorrow, and ready to click pre-order and get it in my hands so I can start learning all of the sneaky tricks that I get. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so that's going to pretty much wrap it up here for episode 2.5 of KnightsCast. We're going to be back again probably next week, giving you post-tournament wrap-up. We'll let you know how we did. We'll also update you on the Gene Stealer cult, the Tau versus Eldari matchups that we've been having. We'll give you a summary of what we've been up to lately in episode 3, coming up shortly. Thank you very much for listening to this special episode of KnightsCast, and we'll see you later. Bye-bye.